Electra and Will turn to Steffi for help, and Eric brings Katie to tears. On The Bold and the Beautiful, romance and reckoning rarely arrive separately, and this episode proved exactly why. While Electra Forrester and Will Spencer took a meaningful step forward by rallying around a friend in crisis, Katie Logan stood on the brink of self-doubt over her bold new business venture, until Eric Forrester changed everything with a single, life-altering decision. What unfolded was a study in contrast: young love fueled by compassion and optimism on one side, and decades-deep family wounds, pride, and professional rivalry on the other. Yet both stories shared the same emotional spine: the power of believing in someone when they're most afraid to believe in themselves. Love, loyalty, and a complicated pause at the beach house. At Will's beach house, the atmosphere was intimate and electric. Wrapped up in each other, Will and Electra shared kisses that reflected how far their relationship has come. There was ease between them, the kind that only exists when two people feel chosen, safe, and aligned. But even in that bubble of romance, reality crept in. They paused, not because the spark was fading, but because Dylan weighed heavily on Electra's heart. This wasn't casual concern. Dylan wasn't just a friend. She was someone clearly struggling, someone slipping through the cracks of a world that rarely notices until it's too late. Electra didn't want to offer platitudes. She wanted action. And Will didn't hesitate for a second. If Dylan mattered to Electra, she mattered to him. Elsewhere, Dylan sat alone in her room, reading a text message that brought a rare smile to her face. She had no idea that the people she trusted were quietly planning to change the course of her life. A plan is set in motion. When Dylan arrived at the beach house, she immediately sensed something was off. Will and Electra were too coordinated, too eager. She joked that the text sounded urgent, but beneath the humor was anxiety, the kind that comes from living on unstable ground. Electra gently took control of the moment. They wanted to do more for her. Dylan instinctively pushed back. Pride, fear, and long-standing survival instincts told her she had to handle everything alone. But Electra wouldn't let her retreat. She reminded Dylan that friendship isn't about keeping score, it's about showing up. Will chimed in with a grin. They had a plan. And just like that, the three of them headed out together toward a future Dylan never believed she'd be invited into. At Forrester Creations, celebration turned sharp. Back at Forrester Creations, joy and bitterness shared the same space. Brooke Logan, Steffy Forrester, and Ridge Forrester admired Daphne Rose's engagement ring, a glittering symbol of happiness, amid simmering family tension. Ridge couldn't resist reminding Carter Walton that he'd predicted this outcome all along. Carter, glowing, embraced his happiness without apology. But the mood shifted fast. Conversation turned to Katie Logan and her decision to name her new fashion house Logan. Daphne, ever perceptive, noticed Brooke's discomfort. Brooke tried to brush it off, but the truth lingered too heavily to ignore. Katie's move struck a nerve, and not just with Brooke. Ridge scoffed. Steffi questioned the strategy, and Carter couldn't make sense of it. Why tie a brand to Brooke's legacy? Why invite comparison? Why provoke confusion? Then, Ridge delivered the harshest blow of all. Katie couldn't succeed, not without a world-class designer. The implication was clear and brutal. Katie's biggest supporter steps forward. Across town at the Forrester mansion, the tone couldn't have been more different. Katie vented to Donna Logan, confessing how shaken she was by Brooke's reaction. Donna, caught between sisters yet again, admitted she could see both sides, but her pride in Katie was unmistakable. Katie finally admitted the truth. Owning a fashion house wasn't just exciting, it was terrifying. That's when Eric Forrester entered the room. With the quiet authority of a man who built an empire from nothing, Eric told Katie exactly what she needed to hear. Logan would be extraordinary, because she was. Katie was stunned, vulnerable, emotional. Eric told her this was her time, that he couldn't be prouder. Katie admitted she'd miss working at Forrester Creations. Eric smiled, confessing that he would too. He believed she'd take the Logan name and make it bigger than ever. Eric's unfinished chapter. The conversation turned to Eric's retirement, and it was clear he wasn't fulfilled. Designing wasn't just a career, it was his identity. Still, returning to Forrester Creations wasn't an option. Ridge's time had come, and Eric still had his pride. Katie pointed out the obvious. Eric still had his talent. He waved it off, insisting this moment was about her. But when Donna stepped out, Eric allowed himself one rare moment of honesty. Designing was fun, and Katie's venture? Daunting. She admitted it. Starting from scratch terrified her. Eric reminded her that Forrester Creations hadn't been built overnight. It took struggle, faith, and mentorship. Katie needed guidance. Dylan comes clean, and Steffi steps up. Back at Forrester Creations, Steffi stood in the showroom when Electra, Will, and Dylan arrived. Steffi greeted Dylan warmly, and then the truth came out. Dylan admitted she'd been living in her car. She explained how Will had figured it out and how he'd offered her the garage apartment. Electra added that they wanted to do more and that Steffi might be able to help. Steffi didn't hesitate. She was in. Electra and Will pitched Dylan's potential, only for Dylan to spiral into self-doubt. She insisted she didn't belong at Forrester Creations. Electra reminded her that Brooke Logan once started out as a caterer. Everyone starts somewhere. Steffi promised to talk to her father. Hope flickered across Dylan's face, tentative, fragile, but real. Old wounds, new doubts. In the main office, Brooke and Ridge continued spiraling over Katie and the Logan name. Ridge assured Brooke that when Katie's silly idea failed, everything would go back to normal. But the reassurance rang hollow, because somewhere else, something very real was taking shape. Eric changes everything. Back at the mansion, Eric admitted she couldn't imagine a better mentor than Eric. He reflected on how terrifying it had been starting Forrester Creations with Stephanie, how crucial that first collection was. If Logan didn't make a splash, it would sink. The pressure crushed Katie. She had no designer, Bill had already publicized the brand, failure loomed. Katie imagined Brooke pitying her. Tears welled. Then Eric said the words that changed everything. She needed someone who believed in her, and she had him. Eric announced he would join Logan, helping her launch her first collection. "I believe in you." She broke down as they embraced. Final thoughts. Faith, family, and fallout ahead. This episode showcased the bold and the beautiful at its best, weaving vulnerability, compassion, and explosive family dynamics into one emotionally charged hour. Electra and Will proved that love deepens when paired with empathy. Steffi showed leadership rooted in humanity, and Eric Forrester reminded everyone that belief can alter destiny. But don't get comfortable, because when Eric crosses that line, the Forrester-Logan War will reignite, and nothing will ever be the same again.